Welcome to the third episode of the Hornet Hour podcast. I'm your host, Alex Berry. For this month's episode, we will explore the legends behind the scenes of helping our school district. Two of my many favorite departments. The first one being up is the technology department, and the next one we will have after this one is the food service department. First up on the podcast, we have the people who lead the district's technology initiatives and helps make sure we stay connected to the internet. Our Director of Technology, Jeremey Cunningham, and in his first year as Assistant Director, Justin Fee. Jeremey has been in several roles in the school district. He has been with the district for a total of 15 years. Justin has also served in many capacities within the technology department, most recently the network engineer, before becoming the Assistant Director of Technology. Justin has been with the district for 10 years now. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to do this podcast with me today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. So what I like to do with all my administrators when we first start doing our podcast is like, give me a 30-second elevator pitch about each one of you. We're going to start with Jeremey.
Well, I am a product of the Bryant School District. In fact, I was adding up the years. I was telling Justin about this earlier. I have only been not affiliated with Bryant Schools for about 15 years of my life.
Wow.
As a student and as an employee. So I've been here a while. I'm working on my Bob Padgett certificate.
Oh.
We're going to make you a memorial next.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You know, Mr. Padgett just retired not that long ago. So, and he was with the district for what, almost over 40 years?
Something like that. I don't know if I can make it that far, but
You can break it.
yeah.
Look, I'm just trying to make it to 28, guys.
Right.
At 28 years, we can retire with teacher retirement. Okay, Justin, in your first year, let's give us a little bit of information about Mr. Fee. Or Mr. Dr. Fee.
Mr. Dr. Fee, yeah, we'll start off with that. My wife is actually assistant principal at the junior high. So Dr. Fee, I joke with everybody, they can call me Mr. Dr. Fee. Went to Bryant and worked here for 10 years. I've been started off as a graphic design artist and dropped it and came here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's always fun. So let's talk about a little bit about your department and some of the things that they do. Let's start with what kind of people do you guys employ in the department, and kind of what do they do, and kind of just give us a little background of each person.
Whew.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to name every person, but each category of person.
Right. There are, how many people do we have in the department?
15.
15.
Wow.
I think the criteria is you have to be a little different.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we've got 6 field techs, and they handle like the day-to-day, helping the teachers out, helping hook things up, tear things down, do all those things. We've got 2 network engineers. They handle a lot of the back end work, keep everything running. Two Mac administrators.
Yep.
One that handles more of the iOS side, one that handles more desktop and laptop side.
Mac user side.
Yeah. And then 2 Windows.
Yeah, I say Andrew's, I guess, technically a Windows guy, but he's kind of shifted roles over to just about anything with accounts.
Right.
So more data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he syncs a lot of the Clever and any of the syncing stuff. That is him.
Mm-hmm. And then if you call the technology department, you'll talk to Tanya, and she keeps us all in line.
Yes,
Pretty much.
She's been there for a long time. She's been through several technology directors.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
At least, 4, 5? Was she there when Bonnie was there?
Yes.
Yes, so at least 5.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, she definitely keeps us in line.
That she does. So, with all that being said, how many devices do you guys manage day to day?
We were talking about this earlier, trying to figure out, kind of adding it up, a loose number. I mean, what do we say, around 20,000?
Probably.
20,000 devices.
Just starting off the big hit, you got 10,000 iPads.
Yes.
And then you got to think ideally every faculty member's got a computer, probably an iPad, an Apple TV, a TV, projector, or something, one of those forms of fashion. So then you got to think of all the stuff you don't think about. We've got 700 wireless access points.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That are managed. You've probably got another few hundred network switches.
Yeah. About 1,200 cameras, which we don't really have to manage as much anymore, but they're still on the network. So
You still have to
still have to do something with
yeah,
it.
still do something with them.
So yeah,
Just a lot of devices.
there's a lot of devices.
And people just don't realize how big that is for a school district, especially I think what 12 schools.
Yeah.
12 schools, and you divide that out by how many teachers and staff and students and
Yep. And we'll take that all back to like end user devices, like probably about 15,000 that 6 field techs are our tier line support for.
yep. And that's a
And
lot of
they-
devices
Yep.
per field tech.
It is.
And a lot of people don't realize that if that's a small department compared to a big corporation that
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
only has 5,000 employees, they probably have a team of 30 or 40 people.
Yep. Yep.
And we're doing this with 15 people.
Yep.
We're supporting 20,000 different devices.
And they're doing a killer job.
They do.
Everybody
Really
in that
are.
Department kills
They
it.
really do. I will say anytime I put in a ticket, it's normally within, if not 30 minutes, within the day.
Yeah. Yep. And that's a lot of their goal. You know, our goal is try to get it within the 24-hour, get a resolution, but they're doing good work.
With that much, that many devices and stuff that flows through our entire network, we have I see a lot of articles out there about spam. We have malware, ransomware attacks. Just keeping students and staff safe when they're browsing the internet. What kind of protocols, hardware, software, any of that kind of stuff do you guys have in place to help mitigate that situation? I know our parents would love to know that, and I know our staff probably doesn't even see half of what y'all do to help prevent those things from happening. I know we had something last week. I think we had to send an email out about that someone clicked on something and somehow got into their account.
Yep. And that's happening more and more.
Yep.
We had to disable a couple accounts over the break for that same reason. So it's just
One of the-
nonstop.
Yeah, one of the weakest links is human error.
Mm-hmm.
Is a lot of. I mean, we have Securely, which handles basically content filtering. Then we have our own firewall, which also has a content filter on it as a backup. The state's got a firewall in line from the pipe that they supply us. But you take all that in, and you still got human error is the problem.
You do.
Yeah.
And that one's just a matter of educating on what to click and what not to click.
And nothing's perfect too.
Yeah.
Like we've found a lot of times a parent or a teacher will let us know that something's making it through that we weren't aware of. And we have to rely on so much automated systems managed by other companies that sometimes things slip through.
Yep.
So we love when we get feedback on if things are working or not.
Yep. That is true.
It is. So I know I just read an article a couple of days ago about the Los Angeles, was it Unified School District? Yeah, Los Angeles Unified School District just had a ransomware attack, and it hit everything they had.
Yep.
And they had to shut down the school district for a couple of days because they couldn't even function without any of it.
Yeah.
When that happens here in Arkansas too.
Yeah.
I think just recently we've had a couple of schools.
In the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. What kind of things are we doing to help prevent those kind of things? Do we have anything for us or what are some tips to help us not be a part of ransomware attacks? I know some people talk about 2-factor authentication and stuff like that, but what other tips and tricks do y'all kind of have for helping prevent those things?
I mean, really the big one, I was trying to think, it's kind of like your bank sends out a letter that says, we're not going to call you asking for your bank account information. I don't know, if you get an email and they're asking for information just out of the blue, you just don't want to give it to them. Basically, it's kind of one of those, every email that I get that I don't, like if it's even the slightest bit funny, I usually start digging in to see if it's real. Maybe reach out to that person in an alternate method to see if it is real.
One of my favorite things is when Jeremy likes to send us out those fake emails, and I'm over here looking at it like, really? Like he didn't think someone wouldn't catch this, but a lot of people still clicked on the link because he did that fake email send. I think at Admin Institute, and the amount of our administrators that still clicked on the links, and his name was spelled wrong. He had
misspellings in
the body. I mean, I'm not saying Jeremy's perfect, but those kind of misspellings. I mean.
I do know how to spell my name.
Yes. Well, usually. I sometimes tack on extra X in my name sometimes.
But it's like a lot of times in the links in your email, if you hover over it, a lot of times, if you're using like web browser based email, it'll show you like in the down bottom left, what the link is actually going to. And if it looks like it's supposed to go to Google, but it's going to, I don't know,
Anything else?
anything else,
Anything
yeah.
else.
Don't click on the link.
Don't click on the link.
Yeah.
And then don't click on the pop-up after you've clicked on the link.
Yeah.
Because people do that.
Yep.
You've won an iPad. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. You can't do that.
I would also, one of my favorite things to do is make sure teachers lock their computers too.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
it's one of the, you never know who's going to walk into your room.
Yep.
It may be a stranger who got into the building and then you left the kids' grades up, or
Yep.
you left
Could be a
eSchool
kid.
open with, it could be a kid.
Yep.
You left eSchool open with numbers in there and addresses and stuff.
Yep. I mean, that is a lot of, and that's the other thing is, if somebody does get in your email, try not to be emailing private information.
Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes you can't avoid it, but the times you can.
And I mean, give the scammers credit. Some of them are pretty good at what they do.
Yeah.
So if you do fall for it, it's okay. Just let us know.
Yep.
And we'll,
Yep.
like, we've had a couple of situations where even on a weekend, somebody'd send me an email or a text message and say, hey, I clicked on something. I can't get in my email anymore.
Yep.
Help. And I can turn their email off quickly and
Yep.
try to mitigate all the damage as possible anyway.
Yes.
But I will say, I guess a lot of our problems is you'll get an email. It's like you're talking about the phishing emails. If you look at the header of the email, you can tell usually if it should be coming from Jeremey Cunningham and it's coming from Jeanette Johnson at Comcast.com. It's like odds are that's not really the person. You don't want to be clicking on links. I don't know.
Oh man, my favorite one. I don't think anyone got into Dr. Walters' email, but someone tried to email with the name that said
Yep.
Karen Walters or Dr. Karen Walters on it,
Yep.
and try to get people to click the link inside there. But the email address didn't even have her name in it, I don't think.
Yes. And that's the thing.
That is that's a very common.
That's called a spear phishing attack. They go and they look at our website and they say, oh, Superintendent Dr. Karen Walters. So they just create a random email address and they put in their name as Karen Walters. And there's nothing that we can do to stop that.
Nope.
Because you could put whatever name you want,
put-
in
yep.
any
Yep.
email address you create. So
I know. But yes, we just want to make sure that we get that information out to people. Make sure you're changing your passwords when the tech department sends out the notification, or make sure if you can do two-factor authentication for the most part. I mean, your bank makes you do it, so
I'll say 2-factor is a really good thing. It's
Yeah.
kind of it may seem like a pain in the butt at first,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really not. It's a pretty fluid process and a good way to protect yourself.
yeah, and just about everyone has a cell phone too. So
yeah.
Yep.
And it's coming. We're
Yep.
gonna have to draw a line in the sand.
start requiring it.
Yep.
Yep.
Which, I mean, for the safety of everyone, we're going to have to if we
Yeah.
keep getting attacked the way we are.
Yep. 'Cause, I mean, you got to think anytime once it is enforced and you want to, and it's a pain in the butt, you got to think back of all that information you have. If somebody gets in your email, there's a lot of private information that
Yes,
you
and we
wouldn't want out.
And like we do a lot of Google sign-in. You get that one email address,
You can
you're
get
into
involved.
everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Which also goes back to don't use your @Bryant Schools email for personal stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Yep.
Don't be getting your Kohl's discounts.
Yep.
Dollar, what they call them, Kohl's Cash.
Foldscast or
On-
LinkedIn or anything like
Oh
that.
yes, yes. So alongside with all of that, we have a lot of devices like with iPads and teacher devices. How do you guys manage all those things, and how do teachers use that management to help them in their classroom as well?
We have really good people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have good software. Using Mosul to manage a lot of those things it's helped us tremendously. And I'd say it's helped the teacher too. Them having access to that Mosul Manager app to be able to kind of keep tabs on what their classes are doing and all that. It's helped us tremendously this year.
Yep. And it's, of course, with the shift to iPads, not necessarily like Apple's better than the next thing, but having a kind of uniform platform across the district has been really nice. Because it is easy, like everything else, you get tools that are designed for that platform. So Mosel's been super helpful with that. But just having, I guess, a unified platform.
Yeah.
So does Mosul also like the teachers can also see what they're doing on their devices? Like, does it give them like a screen mirror almost
Yep.
as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they can use that and Apple Classroom.
Apple
I think
Classroom.
does the same
Apple
thing. Yep.
That's really cool. So
They can lock the screens. They can push, web pages to them. They can.
they can lock
Strict apps.
your
Yep.
apps.
Do all kinds of stuff.
Well, that's nice to know. That's very comforting, especially to parents whenever they're like, "Oh, my kids have gotten into something while they're in class," and
Yeah.
very nice
Oh,
for
yeah.
them to know that we can restrict that.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know if you remember, Alex, way back when we used to have like land school.
Yes.
So it's like that, but better.
If for all y'all that didn't know, I'm a retired IT department. I haven't been in the IT department for 3 years now.
You probably remember the AB tutor days.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I remember. Oh, and when those labs would disconnect from AB Tutor, it was the worst
Yep.
day of my life.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'd have to go in there one by one. Okay, what's that IP address?
Yep.
Ugh.
Things have changed.
Things have changed a lot. I remember back in the day. What was it? It was one of our interns back in the day. I was like, wouldn't it be cool one day if we were able to like image? Back in the day, we imaged Windows computers. Wouldn't it be cool if we were able to image over the Wi-Fi? He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Why would we do that?" I'm like, well, now I think about it. We're here 10 years later. We don't really image anymore. However, you pull a computer out of the box, you connect it to Wi-Fi, and it pulls down all of its managed
Pulls up,
portfolio
yep.
profiles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we do that over the Wi-Fi.
Yep.
So there's things like that. Oh man. So let's talk about your ticketing system.
Oh.
We've been through, I think two. I think I've only been through two since I've been here. We had Spiceworks in the beginning, but now we're using Samanage.
Yep.
And I know even back in my days, we'd have hundreds and hundreds of tickets per day, and we'd do thousands a year.
Yeah.
So how are we doing these days? Like
I just-
recently?
I just pulled up. So the last 60 days, we have closed over 1,500 tickets. In the
Wow.
last 60 days. It's hard because you get a lot of ups and downs. I mean, you'll start off with. I mean, when school started, we closed about 100, 120 a day,
Probably around that.
and then of course you kind of start tapering
Mhm.
down right before Christmas, and then it usually picks right back up after Christmas, and goes on a little bit longer. It varies. Some days we'll close 40. Some days we'll close 100.
Mm-hmm. Are you? So
Let's see.
can you check last year? Like how many did y'all have? Like how many tickets did y'all have like in the past year?
I'll check that real quick.
Okay, because
It's usually around 8,000 to 9,000 a year that we close.
that's a lot.
Something like that.
That is awesome. And like I said, 9,000 tickets divided by the 6 field techs you have, the 15 people in your department, you're closing 9,000 tickets a year.
Yep.
And those tickets vary and range
Oh,
in all
yeah.
kinds of things. From what's your most common problems that you get from a ticket? Like
Well, right now it's just because we introduced so many iPads. It's just usually an iPad.
it's
related.
iPads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I can see
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
I can see that a lot.
It's-
Do y'all get a lot of students who break an iPad?
We get about 10 to 15 a week.
Wow.
Broken iPads.
Like
Yep.
if your screen's broke?
Screen's broken or charging port, something's broken off in it or something like that. Yeah, 10 to 15 a week.
Wow.
So
That's a lot.
It is.
I would almost argue that our breakage rate is down
It-
from the Chromebooks.
It will, yes. I will say
Yes.
that because
Oh.
it's like Chromebooks, we get about
It was
10
a
a
lot.
day.
I think we had Joe dedicated to fixing those
Yep.
Chromebooks back in the day,
Yes.
and
Yep.
it was bad.
And that's been one thing Apple's been really helpful with. I mean, we basically once a week would take all of our breakages, put them in a box, ship them to Apple, and they send us replacements.
Nice.
So
Very nice. What's the most obscure ticket y'all gotten so far that you can think of?
So we are hashing over some really good ones.
Oh,
over
I love a good one.
Yeah. I bet the Andrew one's probably the best.
Yeah, we don't really want to throw anybody under the bus. So
It happens to all of us.
There's some
we'll
good
just
ones
say
out there.
with this one, this is just a funny story.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We had a user put in a ticket requesting that her projector be wireless.
This is
Yes,
10
I
years
remember
ago.
Yeah,
this.
this
is
This was a
before
long
Apple
time ago.
TVs. This is before
Yes.
any of that.
This was before I started working here.
This is
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Andrew, one of our awesome employees, went down there and just unplugged all of her stuff and walked out of the room. and said, "There you go, it's wireless now."
And she was happy.
And she was
She
happy.
said thank you.
thanks. Yeah.
I think there was a video or something.
I haven't seen the
Now,
video in a while. I
he
forgot
did
about
go
that.
back and hook it all and
Yes.
explain that it couldn't be done, but it was really funny.
It was pretty funny.
And that, guys, that's probably that's like 12 or 13 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, when Apple TVs didn't really exist.
Oh yeah. It had to be wired.
Yeah, it had to be wired. And
Yeah.
I think the wire was hanging. It was like the projector was hung in the ceiling. I think the wire was just in the middle of the room
Yeah.
hanging down.
Yep. It was a pretty funny one.
And Andrew just walked in, took it out. Okay, it's wireless, and walked out. That's just
Yep.
hilarious.
It is pretty funny.
That's probably a good one.
There's been some good ones around. It like I said, it's hard to not oust anyone on them. There's some good ones.
Right.
Yes. But yeah, Andrew was a field tech back in the day, so
Yes.
yes, that's a good one. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for taking the time of your day. I hope
Thanks
this
for
was
having
a
us.
easy podcast.
Oh
It was real easy. Yeah.
In our next segment, we will get an inside talk with the person who makes sure all of our students are fed every day. Lisa Stogsdill has been in the school district for 19 years and has served as food service director for 8 and has done an exceptional job. Lisa has changed the game when it comes to feeding our students. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I like to start out with everyone is give me a 30-second kind of elevator pitch about who Lisa Stogsdill is.
Okay. Well, I'm 58 years old. I have attended Bryant schools all the way through from kindergarten through graduated from here. My daughter did the same. I have an only child. I love the beach, any kind of water. Actually, I have a party barge on Lake Ouachita that I enjoy on the weekends as well.
fun.
So I have 2 grandchildren who are the light of my life, and my fabulous husband.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. So we'll jump right into it. I hear you serve about 5,400 to 5,600 meals a day. So how do you prepare that many meals every day for all these students and teachers and staff?
Well, the elementaries, it's pretty simple. The teachers, when they take roll, they ask the students what they would like for lunch. So the elementary managers have a count, but the secondaries, they go by historic numbers. Like we have a rotating cycle menu that goes through every 6 weeks for the middle schools. The high school and junior high has a rotating menu as well. They look at those numbers, but it's really a guessing game for those students. They try to project what they expect that the students are going to like, but sometimes they really throw them for a curve. And but we just do our best on that. But yeah, but like I said, the elementaries, it's pretty cut and dried for them.
Wow. So what kind of meal options do you always undercut, or is it always, or if you run out of something, do you start making more of it immediately if you have it?
Correct.
Or
Yes. If it is something like chicken nuggets or chicken tenders that we can quickly, we batch cook as much as possible, which means that we don't just cook all the food at 9:00 in the morning.
Gotcha.
We cook as we go to the extent possible. So yes, if we see that, even in elementaries, like if they'll change their mind when they get there, they will just cook more of whatever they need. High school and junior high, they do that as much as possible, but their lunches are huge, and there's only 2 lunches, so they feed all those. Like both of those schools are averaging about 1,000 meals a day.
Wow.
And that's in 2 lunches, so that means approximately 500 students per lunch. They have 30 minutes for lunch, which means they need to get 500 students through the line in about 13 minutes so that the last student has time to eat. So as much as possible, they batch cook. This just depends on what it is and how much time they end up with between lunches. But
You are running more efficiently than some of the restaurants I go to.
I would think so.
A lot
yes.
better. So speaking of all those meals, how do you get funding for all those meals?
We are almost exclusively federally funded. We receive a reimbursement for a rate for paid students, a certain rate for reduced students, and paid students. So that is the only local funds we receive are paid students. Their parents pay for part of their meals. So,
Okay.
but otherwise, it's all federally. It's a reimbursement federally funded program.
Okay. So are students ever denied a meal or given an alternate meal for any kind of reason? Specifically like especially if they have like a negative balance or something?
No, absolutely not. All students, we feed everyone. No, it does not matter how much they owe. Every student gets the same choices.
That's good to know. Some students are free and approved for free and reduced price meals. Do they get the same meal choices as paid students, or
Absolutely,
is it any
yes.
different?
No, there is no difference. No one ever knows who's paid, who's free. There's absolutely no. Our point of sale doesn't even have a covert code. It doesn't show anything. No one ever knows that. So yes, they absolutely have the same choices as everyone else.
That's good to know. So even if they come to the line, like your food managers probably won't even know.
No, they would not know that.
Okay. It just shows if they have a balance or not, and they just keep
Correct.
growing. Oh, okay. So nutrition standards, I bet you those are very strict around here, especially since you're federally funded. How do you? What are some of the nutrition standards you have to follow, and how do you stay on top of that?
Well, our software is very helpful with that. We have calorie standards for the week, fat, saturated, trans fat, which we aren't allowed to have any. It's all based on a weekly average, though. Our grains, 80% of our grains have to be whole grains. Sodium, very strict sodium restrictions, and that may get more restrictive, but most of the schools nutrition associations are fighting that because it's already so restrictive. We're limited on what we can do already.
Right.
But yes, we have to offer all 5 of the food groups at lunch, and the vegetables are actually broken down into subgroups: red, orange, leafy green, legumes, that type of thing. So that yes, because they all contribute the different nutrients. So they want to make sure that we cover all of it on a weekly basis, all the nutrients that students need.
Wow,
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
And you have a pretty wide menu, don't you? Like for the most parts, for I guess elementary, they get usually two options
correct,
a week,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like junior high and high school, they
have 9 options.
They have 9 options, and some of it's the same throughout the week, correct? Like pizza.
Correct. Yes.
But it's different types of pizza, maybe.
Exactly. Yes,
Okay.
it's a different type of pizza each day. We have the chicken frenzy, which each day it's something different. It may be chicken nuggets one day, tenders, boneless wings. It goes through like that. So yeah, it's all the junior high and high school have a weekly rotating menu, but they've got 9 options. So it's just a vastly different options that are available to them every single day. So
Wow, that's awesome. I wish I had that back when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I think right when I came up, they had just started the was it the Huckabee thing, wherever they took away all the vending machines and they took away all the lunch options. Because we used to hear about in elementary school, oh, we have Dollar Slice Wednesday pizza. Yeah, when I got there, we had none of that. We didn't have no Coke machines, nothing.
Right.
I know, it was awful. And even coming into high school, like I think they slowly started putting like low calorie vending machines back in and then low calorie drinks back in, but it was a slow process.
yes, and now the vending machines ours are gone again.
Oh no!
Yes, so, but we do have a lot of the other lunch options.
Yes, and the lunch options are good. I heard y'all have a coffee bar now too.
We do.
Well, at the high school.
Correct. High school and junior high both have a coffee bar. And that's going really well. We've increased our participation we've not done any marketing for that yet. We just kind of got a soft start on it. But I want to a disclaimer that the coffee has 8 ounces of milk in it. So it's 8 ounces of milk and 4 ounces of coffee. So, and then we have flavors each day. We have like a salted caramel, vanilla bean, white chocolate, different flavor every day to go in the coffee. So the coffee bar has been a big hit.
Okay. So is that part of like their breakfast? If they come to get their
Correct.
breakfast, they get a food option and a coffee bar? Or
Yes. The
is it
coffee
counted
is
as a
included
drink?
with their meal. Since it has 8 ounces of milk, we can include that with their meal.
Oh, okay. So that's how we do it.
Yep, that's
I
how
love
we do it.
I love it. So how do you make sure how is food safety and sanitation monitored at food service, especially with all the buildings you have to monitor? How do you make sure and guarantee that everything's safe for everyone?
Well, we have health inspections twice a year. Each school has 2 health inspections per year, and I will tell you that our health inspectors tell us our schools are by far cleaner than anything else that they inspect. If we have any findings on our health inspections, they're corrected immediately, but usually we don't have any
That's really good, especially if they come in and they're like, "You're one of the cleanest buildings we ever go to," and we just love it.
Yeah, they do. They love doing schools because it's just our state regulations are our federal regulations are more restrictive than our state regulations. So our health inspectors are state.
Okay.
So therefore, we're typically above and beyond what they're looking for. Like our temperature range is more restrictive, that type of thing. So
okay. So we're not going to have any undercooked food if that.
correct.
That's good to know. It's really good to know. So has the pandemic left y'all any kind of lingering challenges to the food service program?
Yes. The supply chain issues that you see in restaurants are certainly also in non-commercial and food school districts as well. We spend a lot of time on the phone every week finding substitutes. We try to be sure if it's a chicken nugget, we may not get the chicken nugget we bid, but we will get a chicken nugget ideally. Sometimes that we don't know until the truck gets there that we're not going to get a chicken nugget. So, but we try so hard to avoid that. And if we know in advance, we put that on the changes on the menu. But that has been an issue last year, and it lingers into this year for sure. Milk, we can typically get. The milk company is not having trouble keeping up with us as far as milk goes, but chocolate milk, that has been an issue quite often this year. We'll only have yes, white milk, and babies don't like white milk as well. But that's beyond our control. We're just really lucky, glad that we have what we have.
Right.
Another lingering problem that we're having from the pandemic is everyone ate free during the pandemic.
Yes.
We had a waiver from the USDA, and all the students ate free. Now that is gone, and we have had trouble, a lot of confusion, a lot of phone calls from parents that they don't really understand. And so as a result, we had less applications filled out. As a result, we have a large negative balance. The food service department's large negative balance right now because we're just parents are just everyone's not used to back to the normal way we did things pre-pandemic. So that is another issue that we're having.
Right. And if they fill out that free, you only have so long at the beginning of the school year, correct, to fill out the free and reduced form, or is that like an all-year thing?
You can fill it out any time in the school year.
So you can do that any time in the school year. The free and reduced lunch form also gives you other benefits too. I don't know exactly what all they are outside of that, but
there are other benefits. I'm not sure about that either. I know there's broadband discounts on things like that. ACT test. I know that it's free if you're a student is free or reduced. I do know that, but I think there are other benefits that I'm really not sure about either.
Yeah, me either. I hear talkings among people, but you heard that here. You can fill that free and reduced lunch form at any time. It's available online on our website, and it's all available online, like in multiple languages too. Is that correct?
Yes, there's any language that you could probably think of. You can choose off of that online menu.
That's really good. That's really good. So a lot of schools sometimes have children that have special dietary needs. How does the food service department kind of help with that?
That is close relationship between the nurse and our kitchen managers. That's how that's managed. Typically, the parent provides a note from a doctor to the school nurse, who then shares that with our kitchen manager and my office. We have on our software, there's a spot where we put allergies, where when that student comes through the line, that pops up and tells our manager, what the allergy is and recommended substitutions. And we always, accommodate, any allergies that we know about. We make accommodations for that.
Wow, that
can be a lot. Yes. It can be very stressful,
especially when you cook in bulk and then you have to cook like one miniature meal for maybe a couple of kids.
Correct. And elementaries though our managers never cease to amaze me there, because they learn those kids so quickly and what they need to do for them, and they take such good care of them. And then by the time they're secondary, typically the student knows what they're not supposed to be doing. That allergy follows them unless a mom provides a note from a doctor saying that they've outgrown the allergy. That allergy follows them on our software all the way through. But the elementary is the one that mainly
That's awesome. That's so cool that they can keep up with that, like as they get to know kids. And your food service people probably know every single kid that comes through.
Every single one of them.
Because a lot of them come through that line and
every day. They sure do. And amazingly, junior high and high school are they pretty much know the ones who eat with them.
Yes.
They know them as well. So
Look, I'm the same way because sometimes I would bring my lunch, but a lot of times I would also eat in the cafeteria. Miss Hope, shout out at the high school. Is she at the high school? No, where's she at now?
Junior high.
She's at junior high. She was at the high school whenever I went to high school. She was serving lunch, and she'd always know when I'd come through the line, always say hello.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, the lunch ladies, they're some of the friendliest people you will ever meet, and we absolutely love them.
yes, we have fought the grouchy lunch lady image,
Yes.
and I think that we've won the war.
Yeah, too, because everyone I've ever met, I never, even growing up, I never did see that in a cafeteria. Every single one of them were nice to me. At the very least, I would get a hello.
Yeah, we had a few, but most of them are gone. And yeah, I think our ladies are wonderful.
They are.
When I work in schools and help out, I see lots of hugs and
Yes.
um,
They'll even come up and hug me. Even though I'm grown now, they'll still come up and hug me, and I love it.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure, yes.
A lot of schools have, moved toward like food management companies, like outsourcing. So why has Bryant not done that? Or why have we stuck with our in-house people?
Well, the reason a lot of schools bring management companies in is either their participation is low, or financially, the food service department is a drain on the district. The district is having to subsidize that program each year. So we work hard to make sure that we do everything we can to feed students. We do that anyway. We always provide the best meals that we can for the restrictions that we have and the financial restraints that we have as well. But we always try to make sure we have the best food we can for our children, and we watch. We try to be good stewards of our money. Try to make sure that we keep ourselves in the black each month. And our district has been a wonderful support for food service. The administrators all are very supportive of food service, and so. But we're the only district in Saline County left that is not a food management company, but there's only one 7A school in the state that is. So the big schools are doing pretty good at managing their own in-house food service, and I think that's a very good thing.
That is a good thing. And it kind of does make sense. Some of those smaller schools, they don't have a lot of people that come through, and then sometimes with the way food costs are now,
Correct.
It makes sense sometimes, but we're doing pretty well here,
We
which is
are.
good. I'm very glad. So food waste is also a huge problem in the food industry, both commercial and non-commercial. So what steps do you guys take to help eliminate food waste? I know you mentioned batch cooking earlier.
Yep, batch cooking is a huge piece of that. This year, our focus as a department was having the options at the end of the line. The last student has the same option as the first one. We recognized when we went into that we may have some food waste, so we have partnered with a couple of nonprofits around us that if we have like a full pan of chicken spaghetti, that chicken spaghetti is not something that you freeze and reheat, doesn't reheat well. We will call them and they will come. We have paperwork that we fill out. Of course, there's always paperwork for everything
Always
you
paperwork,
do.
especially if you're federally funded.
Correct. And so, but we do partner with a couple of community organizations, and we donate the food that if that happens. We try really hard to keep that to a minimum, but that is something that we have started this year that's been helpful.
That's good. So the food doesn't go to waste. It eventually goes to someone in the community who needs it. So
Exactly.
That's really good.
Yes.
So I heard y'all are doing a little bit more about recycling as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
We are making some steps towards making our footprint smaller. When we began the coffee bar, we are going through about 18 of those plastic gallon milk jugs, gallons of milk per day at each school. So immediately we were like, okay, this is a lot. So we are recycling. We're making a run each week, taking all those to the recycling out on the Sardis Road.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
And so we're doing that. Our elementaries all use the trays that they wash, but the secondaries, we have gone to combustible, like a tray that is,
Compostable?
biodegradable.
Yeah.
Yes. So we've gone to those. Those are a bit more expensive, but they are so much better for the environment. Most of our schools have a recycling for paper on site. So we do that. So we are taking steps towards doing better on, on the environment, on the earth. So
I love it. That's awesome.
thank you.
Man, we have made great strides in the Bryant School District, especially from when I was in school. Especially some of my colleagues have been in school.
Yes.
It's amazing what you're doing around here, Lisa.
Well,
You and
thank
your
you.
team are doing a great job.
Thank you
From
so
what I
much.
see, but I'm only one perspective. I
Hey.
mean, there's probably other people that have great views of you as well.
We appreciate it. We
Yes.
try. We always try to be looking for the next thing that we need to improve and conquer that and move on to the next one. And my team is amazing. I can't say enough about them. The last 2 years has been one thing after another
Yes.
on everyone, but food service was hit really hard.
Yes.
And my team, whatever, we identified, here's what we need to focus on. It was all hands on deck to get it done. And we did. And we, as a result, we fed a lot of kids who wouldn't have been fed otherwise. Some schools shut their, when the schools shut down, they shut down. We did not. We forged ahead with the full support of our administration, delivering meals on buses, doing whatever it took.
Yes, y'all are out there in buses, just handing out meals to everyone in the neighborhood, and y'all even did food drive through. Is that right? Like y'all gave out meals to families.
We did.
During a couple of days a week or once a week or something like that back in the day, and that went over really well from what I heard.
Yes. Like I said, that is all thanks to my whole team.
Yes.
They're amazing.
They are. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining me on
Thank
the
you for
podcast
having
today. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Nope, I think that we've covered it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Catch us for our next episode in December, guys. See y'all then.